welcome everyone to this amazing panel. We're here to talk about the next frontier in scaling for crypto. Now that crypto is at the edge of becoming mainstream, I already introduced myself. I'm the founder of the Defiant. We have Chase Allred, partnerships at Arbitrum, Gunter, the co-founder of Espresso, and Oded, marketing at StarkNet. So amazing panelists. Let's get started getting to know each of how your solutions are helping scale blockchain specifically, and if you can focus on what makes your solution unique versus others. Chase, you can start.
Yeah, happy to start. I'm with Offchain Labs. We are the core builders of the Arbitrum tech stack, the first optimistic rollup in Layer 2 on top of Ethereum. We basically help scale Ethereum and blockchains using our Arbitrum 1 core development stack or core chain, and then also our Arbitrum Orbit stack, which is composable for other developers to build their own chains, which basically packages execution data and sends it down to Ethereum, the most secure settlement environment on the planet and on all planets.
Great, thank you. Yeah, my name is Jill Gunter. I'm one of the co-founders at Espresso Systems. And Espresso is working on the problem of interoperability between rollups. So whereas Chase and Oded, they're working on the stacks for the execution layer that will support millions of applications and billions of users and trillions in assets. We're working on the infrastructure to make all of that work together. So we've built a blockchain that is designed for real-time communication across different rollups.
Amazing. We need that. Hi, guys. Oded. I'm running the marketing org at StarkWare. So StarkNet is basically the leading ZK rollup on Ethereum, now on Bitcoin as well. Basically, Professor Eli Ben-Sasson, our founder, is the godfather of ZK. He's basically invented that, and ZK Starks. And well, we have the best ZK tech. We also have the highest, TVL capacity, etc., among ZK rollups. So we'll probably jump later into more about what's ZK. What's unique about us is that we basically bring scalability to Ethereum and Bitcoin. We also have a stack that is supported more than $1.5 trillion of trading volume. So very battle-tested, started in 2017 and running multiple chains.
Awesome. Okay, so to start, let's dive a bit deeper into the differences between optimistic rollups and CK rollups. Because, we have two of the best examples here of the different approaches to Ethereum rollups. And obviously for context, why are rollups important? They're enabling scalability on Ethereum. I think Vitalik, I can't remember the exact date of his post, but he laid out the rollup-centric scalability roadmap, and that has played out perfectly. We've seen it be very successful in actually scaling Ethereum. That's become a reality today. And these two types of rollups have been at the forefront of this effort. But optimistic rollups right now hold the most TVL, are the biggest rollups on Ethereum. How do you see this trajectory continuing, especially as CK technology improves?
Yeah, it's a great question. Optimistic rollups were obviously the first to market and are still in numbers the largest, and we believe that it's because it's the best technology for scaling Ethereum today. Perhaps this is a narrative violation, but we do believe that ZK will play a big part in the future. I think it will be more of a hybrid type of use case. So the way optimistic rollups today work is they optimistically assume that fraud is not being committed. If fraud is attempted, we go through the optimistic fraud proof protocol, and we ultimately prove that this person was or was not committing fraud. The issue with that is there is a 7-day window upon which that arbitration happens. The correct fork of the chain will continue working, but there is still this 7-day withdrawal period is how it ultimately affects most users. We do believe that one day in the future, once ZK becomes cheap enough, it may be possible to hybridly prove, or when that fraud may be taking place, we will use a ZK proof to more cheaply and more quickly verify that the correct fork of the chain is moving forward.
Okay, super interesting. So the idea is that optimistic rollups, or at least Arbitrum, will adopt CK technology in the future, and there will be a sort of hybrid approach.
Yeah, we recently announced a big partnership with Succinct, working with their SP1 proving technology, and we're really excited to explore what that might look like, although admittedly it is, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
So, Oded, what advantages does a CK first approach provide?
Sure. First, let me say to Chase, he actually acknowledged some of the major problems with optimistic rollups and why StarkNet built basically ZK first approach. First of them is this optimistically assuming everything will be without fraud, as unfortunately we know the human race is not necessarily great at not doing fraud, and most optimistic rollups don't have it actually tested properly, this mechanism. They're not really, in reality, not activated often or at all. So that's one. Second, ZK, it was indeed at the beginning way more expensive to run, but actually at the moment it's in order of magnitude cheaper to run a transaction on StarkNet versus Arbitrum or Base or any other optimistic rollup. Like a cost of transaction now on StarkNet is 0.001 cent. Right, it's like absolutely nothing. So that's being solved based on technology. The main thing with ZK, no trust assumption. Basically, specifically ZK Stark, the technology that we use, meaning you can have trustless setup. You can, it's permissionless. You don't need any certain trust assumption. You can scale it way more so at the moment than what optimistic rollups do. I mean, we are the highest scale among all rollups. I think roughly 4 times more than Arbitrum in terms of the ability to run transactions on us, and like in battle tested 2,600 transactions per second. It's like really nice numbers, but nowadays that's not the challenge. I don't think the challenge is the volume. We have it, we scale it. I think now it's about security and privacy, and ZK lends itself really well in that respect because it's based on, it's the foundation for a lot of that, like how you build actually privacy on blockchain. If you think of Zcash, by the way, Eli Ben-Sasson, our founder, was also the founder of Zcash. So yeah, we have that, and ZK is actually the, I think, magic ingredient for privacy and scale.
Chase, I don't know if I want to give you a chance to respond, but if not, I'll...
Yeah, the first thing I'll add is Arbitrum is not one of those rollups with untested fraud proofs. We actually did have a successful proof happen when the merge happened on Ethereum. So Arbitrum actually predates the merge, and its fraud-proof mechanism is over 10 years old at this point, based on a white paper that our co-founder Ed Felton wrote back when he was at Princeton.
Cool. Okay, so Jill, Oded mentioned one of the main challenges right now is security across L2s, and probably one of the biggest risks or points of increased trust is at the sequencer level. And I know that you're working on a solution to reduce the dependence on centralized sequencers. If you can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So to talk about this, maybe I'll just tell the story a little bit of Espresso. You brought up privacy. We can't escape privacy today. Privacy is definitely the hot thing at the moment, which I love. Espresso started out actually building a privacy-oriented L2. Not a lot of people know this. This is like a little bit of lore for everyone. This was 4 years ago. And as we were building that, we realized that there were all of these problems with L2 infrastructure. This was before, Arbitrum had shipped a lot of the new bells and whistles that make it a lot more straightforward. This was before, StarkWare had also shipped a lot of the features that you have, and of course you're working on privacy yourselves now, which is awesome. But one of the biggest challenges that we bumped into was we realized if we build as an L2 on Ethereum, we're building an island. And we didn't want to do that. We said, crypto, the whole point is to have money Legos. The whole point is to have composability across all of these different applications. And we don't want to just build a privacy island over here. We want to have connectivity into everything that's going on across Ethereum. Now, the ways that you can achieve that are to use many of the great interop protocols that have been built, but those all depend on what the rollup is saying from a centralized server, basically, if you're going to have very fast UX. And that's a problem, especially if you're building something in privacy land, with kind of a cypherpunk vision behind it. You can't have your connectivity to the rest of the space depend on a centralized actor. And so we looked at this problem. That centralized server is often called the sequencer. That's sort of where that jargon comes in. But we looked at that problem and we said, okay, we need a better decentralized way to be able to have real-time communication across all of these L2s. So we went back and we built a whole blockchain. In many ways, it's akin to any other proof-of-stake L1 protocol. And it's been live in production for the last year. We're upgrading to permissionless proof of stake very soon, so it will have security that we hope is close to on par with things like Solana or even Ethereum itself eventually. And importantly, today, in our most recent internal benchmarks, we haven't even published these, we're achieving 2 seconds latency versus the 20 minutes that it would take to communicate across chains using Ethereum. So, Cami, I think that you were spot on to bring up Vitalik's rollup-centric roadmap, which he published 5 years ago. Importantly, he published that 5 years after Ethereum was released. Ethereum, in many ways, was not designed to be fit for purpose for rollups. We've done a great job. The team at the EF, everyone has done a great job of retrofitting it, but Espresso is here to solve one of the problems that remains, which is real-time communication and fast transactions.
So to round up the conversation, I'd love the panel's thoughts on whether the next frontier of scaling is at the UX level, kind of making Ethereum feel like one chain, no bridges, etc., or is it still a tech problem where we need higher throughput, higher performance chains? Where is really kind of the challenge in terms of scalability right now? Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, it's a great question. The answer is probably both. I would say, you have chains that are moving at 250 milliseconds that can do hundreds, if not thousands, of transactions per second. Is that enough scale for all of finance to come on chain? Of course not. Is it enough scale for, a world-changing app like a Poly Market or Hyperliquid to come on chain? Absolutely it is. So I think that there are a lot of application layer improvements that will happen, a lot of interesting applications that are being built, a lot of great tools coming out of the embedded wallet and the account abstraction space that we're working very closely with. We recently acquired ZeroDev, an account abstraction as a service company. So there are a lot of great applications that still need to be built. However, we're not going to stay at this level of throughput and these block times forever. This is not the final form of blockchains. So there's work to be done on both fronts.
Yeah. From my perspective, I think I agree. It will go both directions, but the UX will be playing a major role, and privacy will make a major role. I think we're already going to a place where we're breaking the demand or the throughput challenges. We run internally tens of thousands of transactions on testnet, so we're not worried at all anymore about scaling the sense of how many transactions, also in terms of speed, latency. Once it's under 400, 300 milliseconds, it's basically problem solved because the user doesn't feel it. I mean, it's almost meaningless or negligible. Where it does matter is what Jill brought up, I think, in terms of proper decentralization. And now we're running a decentralized architecture, multiple sequencers. So I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
And what people, if you want to bring normies into Web3, you need to have UX that is flawless, Web2-like, and that they will be, so it has to be scale and fast, solved. They want potentially some of them privacy and something we're working on, and I think many other chains will probably understand that this is crucial. I think we have an advantage in the sense of the technology, but other chains will do it, and I think it's crucial for the whole ecosystem. And then it's about experiences, and you want UX to look and feel, again, very smooth, very lean. You don't even want to know that you're working on a chain. You don't want to know which chain. It should be abstracted completely. One of the things we have from the birth of Starknet is native account abstraction. What's now the Ethereum trying to basically bring on chain, and they saw the light, what we saw 6 years ago. Chain needs to be abstracted. You need to have a smart wallet. You don't need to pay fees for your app because the app can abstract it completely. So this is something we baked in the protocol. UX first, privacy, scale, I think is almost solved now.
Yeah, I have this thing that I say, which is that everything is infra. Like, you might think that you're building at the application layer. All of the problems and the bottlenecks that you'll find are going to sit lower in the stack still. And I think that this is something that our friends over at Solana get really right, actually, is that everything comes down to increasing bandwidth and reducing latency, which is why we still find ourselves needing brand new blockchains or, blockchains that can act as modules within the Ethereum rollup ecosystem. And so, yeah, that's what we're all here to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think maybe it was not a non-controversial take. Is both. We do need both still. So it's still early days in scaling. I do think the progress that has been made in just 5 years since that blog post has been incredible. We do have just everyday people using crypto for their daily lives, from Polymarket to stablecoins here in Argentina, especially people just paying for their groceries in crypto. So that's amazing to see. But yeah, the next billion users have yet to come. So, all right, thanks to amazing panelists and thanks everyone.
To the moon.
Thank you.